Good morning. Morning. If you're on the West Coast, good morning. If you're... How are you guys doing? Hi, Lyra. How are you? This talk, it's going to be quite a few things on this one, so bear with me. It might not interest half of you, but it's a long time coming to kind of talk about, break down exactly, what CBD is and all the legality stuff. We can go off about the new adult vaccine bill. We'll see if we have time. Hold on, let's see. Chris is on. I'm going to go live. Oh, hi, Liz. I don't know if you guys know Chris. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good.
If you're on Facebook, then you likely know who Chris Kirchhoff is. You're mostly on Facebook, right?
If I could figure out how Instagram worked, I'd probably be on here more too.
Yeah. But he definitely has an Instagram account. It's just at Chris Kirchhoff. So hopefully, can you guys hear still? I saw a comment saying that the sound was off. Hold on. All right. So we got some people on. Nice. All right. I guess we can kind of start now. We got enough people viewing. Chris you're definitely a medical freedom advocate. I guess I can call you that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I'm now going with religious freedom refugee. I had to leave.
You're trademark that.
Yeah. You're an author. Chris is an author of a book called So You're Going to Have a Baby. Yes, it's on.
Yes.
Is it still on Amazon, or has Amazon pulled it yet by now?
No, it's actually one of those things still on Amazon. I think just because of the title, it somehow sneaked through the cracks. And actually, I think Barnes and Noble still carries it online. So I don't know, I don't know what we've used as a description for the book, but I'm sure that we put the word vaccine in there somewhere. But yeah, it's still sitting there. So
right. It's great. I started following you a couple years ago for your posts on Facebook because Chris is at the time was one of the few men speaking out on these topics. So it was really interesting to me. And I was like, Jeff, you got to come over here and read this guy's posts. And his posts are just a lot of the they're triggering, and that's okay.
yeah.
But yeah, so if you guys aren't following him yet, you should be on there. Somebody said that she saw it at the store at Barnes & Noble. She saw your book at the store.
There's a step up. Mainstream.
Yeah, that's awesome. You were recently, okay, what was going on over there? Because you're in Texas, and you had a live the other day where you were with the Vaxxed 2 crew.
Yep. Yeah.
Can you kind of tell us what happened there?
So it's interesting is I just moved to Texas a few months ago, and now I live in Austin, which is the home of Polly and Jonathan Tommy and essentially the Vaxxed crew. And so became friends with them. I've been to their house. It's interesting, to walk on to their house and see the bus basically on their land and be able to walk up to it. And it's a surreal feeling to sit there. And I spent a couple hours the first day, and you're just reading through all the names on the bus. And but anyway, they've been working on this film. It's been kind of hush hush just because of how much attention it's going to get, how much controversy surrounded the first film. And so we have been preparing for this film now to release, and it's going to release on November 6th. And the premiere is going to be here in Austin. And so yesterday we did a video to kind of discuss the release of the film and talk about a few of the dates that are coming up, the locations. On my Facebook page, I have a link that has where you can get tickets, and you can kind of search for the area where you're closest to where to get a viewing, which is still, it has been very hush because of, we don't want the negative people to buy the tickets and the negative entities to be showing up to these events, especially early on. So some of that information has been kind of secretive, but we're starting to release that now as far as the showings, where they're going to be, where you can get tickets, where you can get Vax2 shirts. And this film is going to wake up so many people. I said this yesterday. I have seen enough of it to know that if you thought the first one was amazing, like this one, and the parents' stories, because this one really focuses on the people. It's Vax2, the people's truth. And as I mentioned yesterday, this isn't anyone who's involved in the medical freedom movement knows that vaccines have affected millions of people. And so this isn't one person's truth. It's really is, the title is very accurate. It is the people's truth. And it's going to blow some people away. Anyone that sees this film, they will never, I mean, they're going to go home and spend the next week researching vaccines if they haven't already. It's going to be really powerful.
I'm so stoked for that.
I know.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Vax, the first one, they really focused mainly on the MMR, and in going around trying to just collect up some stories and just bringing up, what all the, I guess, the injuries from the MMR, they ended up finding out just, it's not that one. It's all of it. I heard some of the testimonials of the producers are like, whoa, we were not anticipating that it was going to be every single vaccine that we'd hear about, the Gardasil, all of it. So, and
what was mentioned yesterday for anyone who saw the live is this film talks about Gardasil in particularly quite a bit, and there is a story in there that is quite emotional about Gardasil and the damage that it's done. But I know that there's been so much focus around the MMR, and that seems to be the vaccine that they try to manipulate the most. The pharmaceutical industry and stuff tries to manipulate the most when they do the studies, because then they'll come out with some fraudulent study comparing, fully vaccinated kids versus kids that were fully vaccinated but just didn't get the MMR. Like, MMR doesn't cause autism, and they don't. I mean, every vaccine contains the same neurotoxic adjuvants, the same carcinogens. Like it really doesn't matter. And I get that question a lot: is, are there any vaccines that you would get? And it's no. Like none of them are safe. They're all flawed. They're all equally flawed under the same misguided concepts.
Exactly. Yeah. So, well, that's awesome. So are you saying that in Austin, they're going to have little mini private screenings prior?
We are on the 6th, so Wednesday, I think it's a Wednesday, November 6th, they will have the premiere here in Austin. And then I want to say the 7th or 8th is Dallas, and then they're off to their kind of nationwide. The bus is going to be touring again.
Yeah.
Polly's looking for people to interview, people to come onto the bus, share their stories. But that information is on the website, as I said, and there will be a lot more screenings and showings that are going to become available as the film rolls out. Yeah.
And I guess before we move on to the next thing, what do you recommend now in terms of for people to get friends and family to want to come and be a part of this? Because we know now it's not just about the children. We know that these bills and things being proposed are for everybody. I don't know if you saw, but there's an anti-heroin vaccine on the
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, there's
send me that information.
There's an I mean, you saw that there's a cancer one coming out.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's absurd.
Yeah.
This is something that has already affected so many people, and I mean, you have to, if you're paying attention, you should see the writing on the wall, and that this is coming to everybody, and so people should at least, if you're afraid to see the film, if you're afraid to take in information, if you're afraid to read an insert, you're afraid to read a study, like that should tell you something. If you have that kind of blocker up that you can't even watch a film or look at information that's being presented to you.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I guess, did you want to jump in for this one? I have a highlight on the feed here. It's called CBD History, and it's about, I'm sorry, did you have any closing things you wanted to mention on Vax before I just jump in?
No, it's okay.
No, we're good. Okay. If you guys need more information on Vax, it's just vax.com, right?
Yep.
With all the information. Okay. And then you can follow Chris Kirchhoff on Facebook, and he has an Instagram here as well.
Lots of good stuff on that.
A lot of good stuff. Okay. So the highlight that I have currently, it's about 15 minutes long. It's called CBD History. And I kind of go over, you know, the past 70 years, how everybody was lied to, because I was of the belief too that CBD was. I thought that CBD.
Learning lesson and something to dive into research. And when I started looking at it, a really good friend of mine came to me and said, you know, I want to do a video with you and just talk to you about CBD. And he went over it, and I'm like, 2 minutes into the video, I'm like, I don't know any of this. I feel so silly that I've never looked at this. And so the initial idea that CBD and marijuana are the same thing, and we deal with this every single day with the media because they still don't know. Articles that every day somebody sends me an article and they can't separate the two. And so cannabis has hemp, marijuana. Your cannabis sativa plant, hemp, marijuana. They're essentially like brother and sister. And so like the THC aspect of hemp is not psychoactive. So as soon as I learned that, and I was like, oh, so you could pretty much take as much as you want. Like, you're not going to get high. There's a complete different, I'm like, all right, let's start looking at the benefits of taking it. And I'm like, what doesn't this do? And I tell people all the time, when people ask, what does it do? I said, what doesn't it do? Because go on a search engine, preferably one that's not bought and controlled, and put, CBD and then fill in the blank and whatever you're looking for. And not only are you going to find articles, but you're going to find documented research for what it can do. And so then I'm reading it and I'm like, all right, it can do all these things, but like, I'm super healthy. I eat organic, I work out, I do all these things. Like, how's it going to help me? And then the person presented to me is an ultra marathon runner. So I'm like, well, if he's, seeing benefits, like, what can I get out of it? And so the great thing about CBD is it is for everyone. It doesn't matter if you have ailments or if you're the healthiest person alive, you can see benefits because your body is hardwired in to work with the oil. You have an endocannabinoid system in your body. You have receptors throughout all your body designed to work with the oil. That's the great thing about nature. It provides us with things to help us, and we don't need, toxic synthetic substances from the pharmaceutical companies. So I started taking it, and honestly, the first thing that I noticed, and since he was an ultra marathon runner, he's like, he knew that I love to lift. I used to be a competitive power lifter. And so he's like, you're going to love this in the gym. And the first thing I noticed is just like how much better my joints felt. Like, you go in the gym and I didn't need to warm up for like a half hour. Like, everything just felt so much better. And you learn quickly that one of the most important things you get out of CBD is a reduction in inflammation, sleeping better. But what really sold me on it is, and anyone who follows my Facebook has probably no doubt seen pictures of my 12-year-old Alaskan Malamute dog. So 100-pound dog, and he was getting to the point where he limped severely when he walked. He didn't have much energy. And so I started giving him our pet product CBD. We have like they have a dog treat, and then I would actually put drops of the pet oil on the treat, and I'm giving it to him. And within a week, limp is gone. We're walking every day. He's not even getting sore after the walks. His energy increased, significantly. And for me, that's like that for me was unbelievable to see, because our pets, our animals that we love so much, like, they have nothing to gain. They can't fake something. They can't tell you something that they're not saying. And to see him kind of change like that in a short amount of time was unbelievable for me to see.
Wow. Yeah. Some people really love animals more than human beings. And so
and people need to understand that, dogs, cats, like they have an endocannabinoid system too, and that's why we have, you know, pet products and things, and that they can get the same benefit out of it that we can.
Why don't they teach about the endocannabinoid system?
I don't know. I did a post, and I said it forever. Like I don't like credit for things that I write. Like I just like getting the information out there. But I wanted to kick myself so hard because I've seen this like screenshotted, and then like people remade it, and it was like I've seen it 10,000 times on Instagram where I said your body has an endocannabinoid system. It doesn't have a Zoloft or ibuprofen system.
I've seen that
yeah.
meme.
And I was like, dang it, why didn't I put my name on that? That people would have taken it anyway. But you know, and this is why the pharmaceutical company fears, you know, CBD so much, is because it's just a natural plant. We don't need them anymore. You know, we don't need their medications. And so everything that they come up with is just a synthetic to trick some system in your body. And essentially what it comes down to is that medications all have side effects, right? Just like a vaccine, all medications have an insert. All medications, everyone's seen a commercial for a medication where they either have the person that talks so fast you can't hear them, or the print's so fine that you need a magnifying glass to try to read, you know, what they're trying to tell you. And yeah, the people all look happy in the commercial, but they all come with a long list of side effects, and CBD doesn't have any side effects. It only has side benefits. And so they fear this product so much because nothing that they produce comes even close to this. And the research, more and more research comes out every day that shows that CBD blows away the products that they're poisoning people with.
Yeah. What would, I mean, if somebody wants to get into CBD, what is the difference, in your opinion, on the CBD oil and hemp that you would find in like the grocery versus something like with hemp work? Because that's ultimately the company that you went and chose to.
Right. And
uh-oh, it froze.
Looks like everything's still going.
This one's not. Can you guys hear?
No, it looks like it's just us. I don't know if it kicked him off.
It booted him off again. Sorry. It booted Chris off. He gets shadow banned also on Facebook pretty often, so I think he's going to have to just bounce back on. Yeah. We'll get him back on here.
But yeah, you know,
just a bit.
It's so awesome that, you know, now that they're finally letting CBD out a little bit more, and, you know, we're not going to be dependent totally on pharmaceuticals, because just like Chris was saying, those negative side effects is some of the ones that they splurt out really quickly.
Yeah, Chris, can you send another request in if he's on there? So we could, oh, here. Okay, we'll request you. Let's try this one more time.
Shadow ban times 10.
No, big time shadow ban. Okay, sorry about that.
But they're trying to get me.
I know, they heard you on here too.
I heard you. So we won't miss a beat here. So the biggest issue I see with stuff in the stores, first off, there's no testing or documentation to, you know, verify anything that you're buying. But if you start breaking down ingredients, I say anything that has more than 2 or 3 ingredients is, you know, you're not getting a quality product. You're getting things with fillers and other things in the product that you just simply don't want. So I stick with things that are 2 or 3 ingredients. But if you don't know where that product is sourced from, and you don't have testing and documentation, the label means nothing. Whatever they say on the label means nothing if they don't have testing and documentation and you can't trace the source. So I immediately rule out just about anything that I can find in the store. When it comes to products that are online, you know, to me, there are several, there's almost like high tier and low tier. Like there are a lot of companies that make good CBD. So to quantify yourself versus everyone else is a hard thing to do. But what I tell people is that you can start to rule out a lot of companies in a hurry. And that's kind of what I did. And that's how I ended up with HempWorks. So the first thing for me is, and people have different things that are important to them, but the first thing I'm looking for is a full spectrum. So, and some people want an isolate. The nice thing, you know, with HempWorks, we have both. We have an isolate, we have a full spectrum. Our gummies are actually broad spectrum. We're coming out with a broad spectrum. So we're giving people options. But for me, like, I'm looking for full spectrum, because you have to understand that the body you have your endocannabinoid system, but you have two different kinds of receptors. You have CB1 and CB2 receptors. So your brain is where most of your CB1 receptors are found. And in order to get those CB1 receptors, you need that THC. Now, again, like I said, non-psychoactive THC that's in hemp, but you need that THC to affect those receptors are working your movement, your coordination, your mood, your thought processes. So you need that full spectrum if you're going to get those CB1 receptors. CB2 receptors, okay, rest of the body, and those are mostly found in like your immune system. They work on dealing with things like pain, inflammation, and the CB2 receptors are mostly there to bring your body back to homeostasis. But you need the CB1 receptors if you want to hit everything. So I'm looking for a full spectrum. So I can rule out a lot of people that only sell an isolate. And this is one of the disingenuous things that I see with a lot of companies that only sell isolates. They push that misinformation about THC. They push the information that you want an isolate, that you don't want the THC, when they know darn well that THC is non-psychoactive, it's not going to get you high, and that it's hitting receptors in your brain. And I would think that people would want to work the CB receptors that's in their brain to affect all those things that I mentioned, especially, your cognitive function and your mood. But they misrepresent things like you just want an isolate. So I'd rule out immediately anyone that just has an isolate. So I want full spectrum. I want to look at the farm where they source from. And while there's no official certification for organic CBD, if the farm uses organic practices like our farm does, you want that. And you can trace that, again, back to testing and documentation. And testing and documentation needs to be available to you right out in the open on the website, easily accessible, just like ours is. And there were companies that I found that it was nowhere to be found, or we're going to email it to you. Why is it going to email it to me? Why is this not why can't anybody see your testing and documentation? And part of that is to see that the source and the farm that you use has those organic practices and doesn't have harsh solvents. So CO2 extraction, we use CO2 extraction to get the highest purity oil that we can get and not use harsh solvents. And then you'll look in their testing and documentation, companies will have used solvents. They'll use acetone, ethanol, I'm blanking on some of the other ones, but they'll use these harsh solvents, and in the testing and documentation, they're still present. So how can you take in something, and acetone is in vaccines, is a carcinogen, ethanol is a carcinogen, how can you ingest CBD oil that's beneficial, but then also be ingesting carcinogens? So you need to make sure that your product doesn't have these harsh solvents. So again, we go back to testing and documentation. No harsh solvents. No pesticides are found in the product. If you found pesticides in the product, then clearly your farm didn't use organic practices. Heavy metals and mold, that's another one. You go through and they'll either leave it out of their testing and documentation, or they'll be present. And again, if mercury, arsenic, lead's a big one. And people ask, well, how did lead get in my CBD oil? Well, the farm used contaminated water source. And so you're making sure that these metals are in there. You're making sure that mold isn't in there. That's why HempWorks does all of the things that we do. Using the farm that we use, using the CO2 extraction to not have harsh solvents, to get a pure oil, the fresh lot drying method, so we prevent the molding issue that a lot of companies have. So from what I've seen, we're doing everything. They check all the boxes of things that I want, and again, the full spectrum, while still offering the isolate for people that for whatever reason would want that. So we check all of the boxes, and it was the first company that I found that checked all of those boxes. And that, again, was proud to display, here's our testing and documentation, and not just one test and one documentation. The page is filled with it, and now our product has updated to having that QR code on the back of the product where you can literally scan it and go directly to that batch's testing and documentation. So our company is so proud of their product that they're here's everything you need to see about it. We have nothing to hide, where a lot of other companies, they try to hide things.
Yeah. Is the reason that it can't get the organic label, is that due to an FDA issue?
Yeah, it's just the old certification that they've come up with. I'm sure that it's coming.
Is that for most CBD products?
Yes.
Right, pretty much all.
Yeah.
Okay.
All companies.
So it's not something that just this company can't get. It's like any CBD
Right.
product.
So anyone that's saying that they have it, no, there's no certification. So all you can look at is, again, the farm, and when the farm uses organic practices, it's
I'm sorry. I'm also seeing. I know there's a lot of comments scrolling, and you guys, we're not ignoring you, and I'll try to get back to those afterwards. I can always message Chris too. And somebody wants to know, do you know what the carrier oil is in hemp oil?
Hemp seed. It's a hemp seed.
Yep. It's hemp seed. Okay.
And I think that gets overlooked too. Is you need you want a lipid carrier oil because part of CBD is uptaking in your fat cells in your body. So you want that lipid carrier oil, and hemp seed. Hemp seed comes with amazing benefits of its own. The nutrients and things that are in it, the unbelievable amount of omega-3s that are in that oil. So there's benefits and a purposeful reason behind the carrier oil that we chose to.
Okay, sounds good.
One thing I wanted to add in there too is, we're talking about pharmaceutical companies and other CBD companies. The owners are very much about being able to choose what you want and not being forced. I would say that they're pretty much pro-medical freedom, which is, I think, another reason why a lot of people will gravitate towards a company as well.
Yeah, was that?
I think that was one of the top reasons that I love this company. Like we can talk all day about the products, but when you have a co-founder, co-CEO of your company that is public on her page supporting our medical freedom movement, talking about the dangers of vaccines, putting herself out there like that when you're running almost $1 billion brand, that's powerful. That speaks volumes to me.
Yeah,
that's somebody that I want to be aligned with.
Yeah, and she herself had benefits from the product prior. Like, it's not like she just started a business. She actually was taking CBD, but she wanted to do it better. And something like, I can't say the word cured, but she had celiac disease and then
she did not.
Took the CBD, and now she just doesn't have celiac disease.
Yeah, somebody asked her name on there.
Jenna, right?
Yeah, Jenna Zweigel.
Jenna Zweigel. Yeah, she's also on Facebook. She does like talks of this. So, and okay, so then why then does hemp work? Because a lot of companies are doing this now where they don't want to do the brick and mortar anymore. They don't want to open up a store and then sell their product. Like, why are so many companies going towards the entire like MLM thing? And I know that you in the beginning, you said you just didn't want to sign up because you were so anti MLMs. You're like, no, because we were kind of the same. Yeah.
So HempWorks is like, I had multiple blocks up. The one I'm like, no, I don't know. CBD, no, don't know. Well, learned that I didn't really know anything about it, but I had a block up for that. Then I had a block up for essentially MLM network marketing.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is true of any business, any company. There are going to be bad companies and there are going to be good companies, and that's no different if you're in the MLM world or if you're in the corporate world. And we could talk about companies that are out there and their shady practices. But so
yeah, because that's and I know a lot of comments are coming in too. Like, they see it, and even if it's a product that it's got value, like you give your money and they offer a 60-day money back guarantee with an empty bottle. So you give your money for a product. So you're getting something for what you know what I mean? Like, that transaction does happen, but why is it that so many people are just turned off by the whole MLM thing? I mean,
yeah, and MLMs go back farther than most people realize. I mean, I can remember the first time somebody tried to pitch me an MLM, and it's probably 15, 20 years ago, but MLMs go back, 30, 40 years. So they have this long running stigma that they're a pyramid scheme, they're a scam, they're whatever. You can only make money if you're at the top. And the biggest thing is that you have to look at the products that the company is selling. Are they good products? If they're good products, there's no reason not to buy them. If they can help you and you're supporting a friend, people have no problem going into a Walmart, a Target, some of these corporations that their business practices are as unethical as they come. And people will spend, X amount of money in there and make jokes about how they just, spent $200 at Target, but they won't buy a product from a friend that can help you, especially when, as you mentioned, we have with 60-day money back guarantee. You can use the whole bottle essentially and return it if you're not seeing something. So in any transaction, doesn't matter if it's from your friend or from Target, if you buy something, you get the product, they get something in return. And that's, a payment for the services. So you have to look at the products. And there's a lot of companies that use the MLM model that just sell bad products, or they have marketed their business in a way that the only way that you can become successful is by signing people up. You have to sign people up, they have to sign people up, and that's where that pyramid scheme stigma came from. But when you have a company that's product driven and that actually helps people, it's completely untrue, and that's where these walls and stigmas need to be broken down. We have 5 times as many people that use the product as we do affiliates. And that number continues to grow. So in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it's going to be 10, 15, 20 times as many people are customers. Yeah, just customers. They're not even interested in trying to make any money as affiliates. And that just shows the power that people like the product. And what you look at is, and you can break down the statistics of other companies, they'll have 2 or 3 times or more affiliates than they will customers. So the company is only driven by enrolling people, and that's where the issue runs in, is that you're forced to enroll people, sell people, push people something that they can't sell, that they can only enroll people on to sell, where this is vastly different. This is vastly different because, as we said, we have all these customers. And again, looking at the products, a lot of companies, the product, even if it's just for a customer, it's only marketable to a small amount of people. It's only a small percentage of people are looking for it. Where CBD, I feel like, as I mentioned, it doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum. You're very sick. I have, this ailment, that ailment. I'm dealing with this, or you have nothing you're dealing with, and you're like, I'm the healthiest person I could be right now. It can help you because your body is designed to work with the oil. So the product is for everybody. So whether you just want to use it or you wanted to be an affiliate, doesn't matter, but the product is for everybody. And that's why I think CBD separates themselves from all the other MLMs.
And that's what we noticed too. We went to the convention. It was the first convention we'd ever been to, really, for anything like this. So it was we learned a lot, but I noticed that everybody there used the product that they sold. It's not like they were just promoting a product and everybody used it. They all had stories of how it's helped either themselves or family members. And that's even what got them started into it. And then, I also was of the belief that, well, only the people that signed on first are going to be the people that make the most. But then in meeting, you and knowing your story, that's not how it works. You had so many of the people that made it, that are doing really well, recently signed up. They're doing better than the people that signed them up. And that's because of the model of the company that they're, right? I guess if you want to break that down.
And I mean, one of our upline leaped past the person that had enrolled her. And so that right there just proves that it's not a pyramid. People are literally passing people. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's still you're putting in work, but you're not stuck on the bottom. You're not stuck at a certain level. You get out of it what you put into it. But everyone that I know in this company uses and loves the products, and a vast array of the products. People will ask me all the time about, the oil, but then they'll be like, well, I see you guys have these topicals. Do you use them? Part of me is kind of embarrassed. I'm like, I don't use the topical, but then I'm like, I actually do. I'll tell people every day, I'm like, the Renew cream is